Hi everyone, welcome back to the workshop. Apologies for the bit of a break, but I've been a bit unwell and been doing a few other things. Rob from DoURC has challenged me again to another build, and this time we thought we'd do something that is a little out of both of our comfort zones. Now, a huge part of this crawling community is the LCG arena. Now, for those of you that don't know what that is, LCG is low centre of gravity. Now, obviously, when we're doing our builds, we try to aim to get the weight as low as we can so that when we're out on the trails, you're less likely to tip over. It obviously improves performance, but it also makes them look great. And it's very much a science. It's not just a case of adding loads of brass and get it as low as you can. A heavy rig is not necessarily the best rig to have, and a light rig is not necessarily the best rig to have. It's all a case of having the right weight in the right places. So Rob and I have decided that it's not going to be a huge competition challenge, but for both of our benefits, we're going to build a rig that neither of us have built before, and we've never really ventured into that area. So I've decided my base platform is going to be the Traxxas TRX-4m. I absolutely love this crawler. It's not necessarily the best performing rig, but I think it's one of the most versatile. There's loads of parts available out there. They're very good quality. This one here is my Defender, and this is quite heavily modified, but I just want to show you a few bits between a stock one or a stock style one and the LCG rig that I'm going to be building. So if we take a look at my Defender, obviously you can see that straight away it's quite heavily modified, but principally it is a basic model. It is not designed to be an LCG rig whatsoever. Obviously it's got a boat on the roof, so that definitely doesn't help. But I like this rig because it looks good, it performs really well actually, and it's always such fun to drive. So from the outside you can't really see that there's a lot of modifications to it, but if I take the body off, you'll soon see that it's really heavily modified. So if we pop the body off, very easy on these, just a couple of clips underneath. Now I've got some lights fitted, so I just need to unplug that. Put that over there. And as you can see, fundamentally, it's still a basic TRX-4m in the style that it's laid out. So chassis-wise, we've got a carbon fibre chassis on here, which it's still the same sort of proportions as a normal chassis. It's not designed to be an LCG rig. Furitek Cedar motor in here, which I absolutely love this system. An uprated servo. Everything on this is uprated, but they're uprated versions of the original. So they might perform better than the original, but fundamentally they work in the same way. And then my own little twist on it, a bit of fabrication, a nice little steel bump on the front, housing the winch. I get asked a lot about the winch. The winch is available from AliExpress. They're not the best winches for actual winching, but they look cool, they do work, they're not very expensive, and I think, if you wanted to keep it scale, it has enough pull that it would pull you out of a pickle, but it's not enough that it would lift the rig up. So lots of little modifications on here, but like I say, fundamentally, this still remains a fairly standard TRX-4m. It is not designed as an LCG rig. So I've been very lucky. I reached out to Meus Racing and Furitek, and they've both supported me with this build. So I'd like to say a huge thanks to both of those. So let's go over some of the parts that they've offered me for this build. So first of all, Furitek. Well, we've gone with this carbon fibre Beetle chassis. This thing it says comp in the title, so it's got to be a good piece of kit. I can feel the box obviously, but I've looked inside. It's all carbon fibre with the exception of a few screws. The quality looks amazing, but that is going to be our chassis for the build. Secondly, our power unit. So we've gone with the Cedar. This is not the all-in-one. The reason I haven't gone with the all-in-one is because I want to be able to move weight around on the rig once I've built it. Now, if I use the all-in-one, once the motor's installed, I can't move any weight anywhere. Now, if I need to move it forward or back to get my balance right, it's going to be very difficult, and I don't want to keep adding lots and lots of weights here, there and everywhere. I'd rather use the components that are on the rig and move them around, and that way I haven't got to add extra weight. I just need to put it in the right places. Next, from Meus Racing, we've got their 8.5 kilogram servo. This is capable of taking 8.4 volts, so it's going to be plenty for what I'm going to be doing. Probably going to be running this on 2S, so 7.4 volts. So that's going to be plenty. And 8.5 kilos, that is loads of torque, loads of power. It's much more than I'm going to need for this build. But I'd rather go a bit over than a bit under. Next, we've got the aluminium skid, again from Meus Racing. This is the black anodized one. I wanted to keep as many black parts as I could because I thought the black would, be in line with sort of stealth and LCG, and it's going to look great with the carbon fibre. I've got the aluminium gearbox. This is also anodized black. Inside, this has already got the steel gears fitted, and these are the lower crawler gears as well. So that's going to give us lots of low down speed and torque. We've got the special Meus Racing aluminium servo horn. This is specially designed to work with the TRX-4m because of the way that the steering linkage works on the front. So that's going to fit straight onto their steering servo. It's tiny really, but yeah, it's going to be very, very good for this build. I've also gone with the Meus prop shafts. I've got these on a few models, absolutely brilliant. The joints last an absolute age. I have used some of the other brands and they don't tend to last as long. So luckily Meus have hit us up and we've got these. This is their stainless steel linkage set. Now, I was going to make the links, but when I looked at buying the material and the time it would take, the cost of these, I bought these, it really wasn't worth it. So I have purchased these. I have also purchased some ball joint ends so that if I'm not happy with these or I want to go a bit longer, then I can make my own if I wanted to. So Meus sorted us out with a set of their new Isokinetic Axles. These have got the CVDs in as well. That's the first time I've used the CVDs, so it'll be interesting to see what they're like. One interesting fact with that is it does give you loads more steering angle, which again on this LCG rig is going to be absolutely fantastic. Next, we've got some Treal shock absorbers. Now, I reached out to a few guys in the group and the census was that the Treal ones were very nice. They do have a tendency to leak, so that's interesting. But what I want to do is, as part of the build, I'm going to strip these down, have a look at the components, try and identify why they're leaking. But I did purchase these and I'm just curious to see how they perform. They look absolutely brilliant. And they're going to definitely look good with the carbon fibre. Electrics wise, I'm going with my trusty Spectrum system. So this is a Spectrum receiver. I use the rugged system. It's always worked very well for me. I've got it in lots of rigs. I've got 2 transmitters as well. So if I want to run sort of multiple rigs, it's not a problem. And lastly, wheels and tyres. So I've got a couple of sets of wheels. I think these are Meus wheels. I can't remember now. And these are Inura. So these are 1.0s and these are 1.3s. So again, once I've got the rig built, I'm going to have a play around with wheels and tyres and inserts and things like that and see how we can get it to perform the best. So without further ado, let's get this thing put together and then we can start testing with weights and, sort of laying it out. We'll get it on the scale, see what it weighs in at. Hopefully it's going to be a lot less than my normal rig and we can start to get our balance right as well. So I think you'll agree, absolute beautiful array of parts we've got here. This chassis from Furitek looks stunning. Absolutely stunning. It's supposed to resemble a Beetle, I guess, with those curved lines. Looks brilliant. This is the roof section. So obviously that will sit there. Really excited to get this put together. I won't waffle. I'll get this bolted all up and then we can have a look at it once it's made. So here we are, it's all together. I have to say it was a really, really fun build. So a few things that I've noticed. One is I think the shock absorbers are still a bit too stiff. So I'm going to have a play around with those. I did strip them down. I've put green slime in them and they are much, much better than they were when they came out of the bag. But I think there's room for improvement there as well. I also think I need to play with the geometry a little bit. It still seems to be sitting a bit high, and as you can see there's quite a lot of tension on it, which the majority of that is in those shock absorbers. Maybe move them down so there's more of an acute angle. Let me know what you think in the comments. The steering angle on these new axles from Meus is absolutely insane. I cannot believe how much steering there is on those, and with that Furitek system in there, it is just so smooth. I need to plug it into the app and dial it down a little bit, but it's just so smooth, it's unbelievable. So I'm really, really looking forward to getting this out. So hopefully you can see there, I've managed to tuck the battery in This is pretty much as low as I can get it here, and all the electrics are up the top on the tray. Now I know obviously that's high up, but there literally is no other way to get them any lower. I think the only way I could do it is if I were to put the receiver on top of the servo at the front, which I think would look a bit daft, but let me know what you think. So I think what we need to do now is get it up on the scales and see what our balance is like. Okay, hopefully you can see this. So guesses as to what it's going to weigh. There we go. So we'll just let the scales settle. So we've got our total weight here is about 680 grams, which is good. That's a bit lighter than I was expecting, considering we've got brass wheels, a bit of brass in the axles as well. Now what's nice is we've got 50% side to side bang on, and we've got 56% front, 44% rear. So that's good. I like that. Might need to try and shift a little bit of weight forward. But other than that, figure-wise, I'm quite happy. So if anyone's got any suggestions on balancing it out, etc., then let me know in the comments, because like I say, I'm new to all this and it's interesting to learn. So if I were running the receiver sitting on top of the servo, that would obviously shift a bit of weight forward. I could then move the speed controller forward as well, so that might be something to look at. But as I say, overall for my first LCG build, I'm really pleased with it. Right, we're here at the famous Wellington Rocks in Tunbridge Wells in Kent in the UK, and I've got the new LCG build and my TRX-4m Defender. So we're going to do a little bit of comparison today. Hopefully the LCG rig is a bit better on performance. The rocks are quite wet. It's pretty cold. It's probably about 8 degrees, and as you can see, wet sandstone. It's not the best surface, but it's comparable. Obviously both the trucks are doing the same terrain. It's a bit of a grey sky, but it is mid-December, so what do you expect? So yeah, let's get some batteries in there, get them fired up and see how they do. So as you can see, we're back in the workshop. It's a couple of days later, and I've had a chance to clean down the trucks and get the tyres cleaned, etc., ready for competition I've got coming up. Hopefully in the video you could see the capability of it. It was very difficult to sort of compare the two directly because of the lines, the tyres that I had on there, etc., etc. But I could definitely see that the LCG rig was so much more capable. You never really get a sense of how steep a climb is, or how deep a gorge is or big a lump is on a video like you do when you're there. But I assure you, some of those climbs were really, really steep, and I was really, really impressed with how it performed. So as I said, this is the first time I've done a build like this. Even I've not done an LCG 1/10 either, so it was so much fun. The capabilities of it were far beyond what I ever expected. The kit went together really well. So just as a bit of a recap, it was a Furitek Beetle chassis, which is carbon fibre, Meus Isokinetic Axles. I'm running a Furitek Cedar motor in there, and I said the reason that I run the Cedar motor rather than the Unity is because I can move the weight around to suit what I want. So we've got a Spectrum radio system in there as well. The Treal shocks, I can see what people were saying about the Treal shocks don't seem to be the best, but I have to say I played around with them a little bit. What I did find was I stripped them down. I put some green stuff in where the seals go, and it's very tempting to do that collar up as tight as it will go. And I've always found this is with the TRX-4 shocks as well. If you do it up tight, it binds everything up. So just leave it sort of quarter, half a turn loose, and they perform so much better. The original springs I found were too hard for this setup, so I just picked up some thinner diameter material springs from Amazon. They were only about £5, and they work perfectly. You know, I like I say, I keep saying it performed amazingly, and it really, really did. So what I'd be interested now is on your comments on from how you saw it driving, any improvements that you think I can make. It would be nice to be able to move things around a little bit more, but as you can see, you really don't have a lot of room on this build. So I think I did really well for what I've done. I'm super interested to see what Rob's done with his build as well. And I think really this challenge was more sort of pushing ourselves rather than pushing each other, because neither of us have really done an LCG rig before. And, we had discussions before we were doing the build, and we didn't really know what we were doing. So other than sort of watching other people's videos and things that we've picked up from other people, it was new to us. It was great to actually get out with the small scales. Took the Ripper V3 out as well, gave that a bit of a run. The Defender got a lot of running because obviously I was trying to do a bit of a comparison between the two. And the Beetle, well, you see in the videos, if it comes over across to you as good as it looked to me on my videos, on my television, it looked amazing. I mean, the fact it was on the rocks, it's just a shame that it was a bit cold and wet and damp. I think on a nice dry day, the performance of this thing will be absolutely incredible. So don't forget to head over and have a look at Rob's video as well. I'm really excited to see what he's done, because the challenges and the builds that we've done before, we just seem to do completely the opposite ends of the spectrum. So be interesting to see what's there. I'm going to be taking a bit of a break now up until Christmas. So I hope everybody has a fantastic Christmas and Happy New Year. If anybody's attending the crawler meet in Sussex, in Chichester, on the 28th, then I look forward to seeing you there. And hopefully I'll be able to get some video from that as well, and that might be something to be able to squeeze in before the new year. So all in all, super fun build. Hope you've enjoyed following along with me. If you've got any recommendations for things that I should do, or maybe swap things out, then let me know. But thank you very much to Furitek, and thank you very much to Mia for the support on this. And head over, have a look at their bits. Absolutely brilliant parts. And from me in the Crawl Stock Workshop, have a very happy Christmas.